So we're going to be playing Briar in silver rank, and I really like this rune page setup, so we're going to be running this rune all the time. Level 1, I recommend warding here, and I do recommend you just play for Raptor solo. So in this game, we're going to play for Raptors. Play for your full clear, especially in lower ranks. It's going to be the most important thing. Right-click the big Raptor, start W, and then just let your autos kill the rest. And with Briar, especially when you're playing into like lower ranks, you just want to make sure that, you know, you just don't over sort of fight, right? Like fighting is just going to lead you away from the most important thing, which is your jungle farm. And you're going to be using your jungle farm as a way to get these power points, and then once you get to these power spots, you're going to just dominate the game. So here, jump over the wall, smite, and then use your W before it times out. You're going to auto the rest of these ones, and when you're autoing, just make sure you have your E, and then you just use your E there to kill the rest. Really OP. And here with red buff, just right click and then W right after. Briar jungle, especially in this game, we're going to be playing against a Rengar. You want to make sure that you don't get cheese. And with Briar starting Raptors, a big thing is, if you watch my other video, it's just hard to cheese Briar when you start on red side. A lot of people want to cheese you when you're on blue side. And with W, if there was a champion here, your champion will actually auto path towards the Rengar and try to fight him there. So here, start Q. Recently, Briar got buffed, so she's really strong right now. So here, you want to start Q just because you're going to use the Q to start the wolf cam. Right click, E, right click, and W. There are a lot of combos to Briar, but I'm going to make it real simple, especially in lower ranks from like iron to gold. It's just really about just making sure you're using your spells as simple as possible, but as effective as possible. So here, there is like a boss fight going on, right? And for me, I just want to think about what lane is gankable, and also can Rengar do anything versus me. So here, if Rengar maybe is like a cheesing jungler, I probably would worry more, but Rengar is generally a full clear level 4 jungler. So when you know this kind of stuff, it's really good. And here, don't W, even if your W's up, use your E first. Because if you press W, you're not going to be able to use your E, because your E cancels your W, right? And we need our W because your W gives you a bunch of movement speed, but also gives you a bunch of attack speed. So now after the full clear, this is where we're going to have windows to kind of, you know, potentially gank. Because enemy bot lane had a really good, you know, push, they're able to get this ward, right? They're able to see where we are. In that situation, you want to just be kind of a bit careful. And you want to just sort of auto down this craft. So you can see Rengar eventually shows up. His clear much slower than us because we're effectively, you know, efficiently able to farm quickly. And here you have two ways to play around this. You can actually either, you know, play to kind of fight, or you can play to, you know, just go back and farm your jungle. Because I don't really have a, you know, a huge desire, you know, or stomach to fight, I'm going to wait for Vel'Koz. Because Vel'Koz is here now, we actually have a much better, you know, window to go for a play here. So with Briar, you want to start with your W, and you just want to go on the Jinx and jump over, dodge abilities, auto, bite down, and then E to kind of like finish it off. So like obviously in lower ranks, the understanding, just full clear faster than your opponent, right? That's like a big thing. And here for builds, honestly, anything is fine. I really do like Blade the Rune King or Cracked Slayer. Generally, I think Blade is just an easier, you know, build to utilize. So we're going to do the Blade the Rune King build. And remember, when we start topside, where do we go after the base? We go back to where we started, which is topside, because our topside jungle camps respawned. And this is essential for you to keep up your farm. Here, when you get closer to the jungle camps, you're not going to use your sort of Q on the camp right away. You want a W. And the reason why we want to, you know, W on our camps is mostly because we talked about what does our W give? It gives us a bunch of movement speed and a bunch of attack speed. So a lot of times you're going to want to start that. And from here, we want to just auto attack once, W, Q. And we actually will win this unless Rengar is here. So if Rengar is here, we want to flash. And I think Tryndamere might die to my bleed. Unfortunately, no. But I do think Vel'Koz might be able to do something there. And he's gone. Okay. If you get invaded like that, it's no big deal. I was actually really close to kill Tryndamere. Maybe I should have went for another auto. Things happen for a reason, but hopefully it's not a big deal for this game. So here, I generally like to go free boots or the other page. Sometimes we're going to use this game. I just had the free boots ready to go. W over the walls because you want to get W to get to the camps. And from here on, you want to make sure you bite down right before your W's are about to time out. And then you're able to kind of like fight and play around that. So enemy mid laner is just like a champion who wants to cheese and invade you. You know, it happens like that. That's okay. And then you want to just make sure you play around, you know, potentially his cheese. Like I'm going to destroy him later. Why? Because we are the superior player. We are the ones, you know, capitalizing on our jungle camps. And then we're ganking when it's really easy and OP for us to gank. So here we have a pink ward. Pinks are going to pretty much clear out all wards. That could potentially lead to us dying. We see Rengar top side. He's wasting time. So we're going to see if they play aggressive, right? Like we're going to see if Jinx like walks up here. If there's nothing, what can we do in this situation? Well, because Rengar is wasting a year, what do we want to do? We want to start dragging, right? Rengar is up here wasting his entire lifetime on, you know, a Vayne. So what we're going to do is start the dragon here. With a buy, as long as you have one jungle buy, like your pickaxe, you're pretty much going to do dragon really fast. And there's no real sort of way for, you know, Rengar to really get here in time. It's pretty much just free, right? So what you want to do is keep Wing. And you want to W later towards the end. You always want to sort of W towards like your end. Because ending is going to give you the better, you know, percent health damage, stuff like that. And it's going to just give you a lot more value. So here you want to do the crab and make sure you just wait a bit. Rengar could be in the area, but it's generally okay to start with your E as long as you can hit it into the wall. And then you just W and Q and sort of finish off the crab, right? So it's really good for us. And I know Rengar base because we know we saw him base. So we want to make sure we don't, I would say, greed here. I think Rengar could be boss side. You can use your ultimate to like potentially go on them, but I will say this is a hard gank and I don't want to go for anything hard. I want something easy, and easy would be for me to play around mid lane here and also to play around where my jungle farm is. So here we're going to first check if our jungle camps are up. And if we remember from last game, what do we remember from, you know, or not last game, from the last thing that happened when we were here? The Tryndamere invaded, he cheesed us. So if something happens once, it can easily happen again. So what you want to do is prepare for it and just be aware of, like, you know, the potential of it. So here, this play, you know, Tryndamere going on the Vayne, I'm just going to evaluate it. I think their champs are kind of strong here. So I don't really want to go in yet until I see like something like that. And now I'm going to just kind of play for it. And then now I can just easily go on the kill. I'm going to E in advance here to potentially stun her on the wall. And from here, you can just auto and just kill her off. So it's a really good play for us. There is a chance Rengar is on the grubs, because when void grubs spawn, you know, lower rank players, they absolutely fiend for them. But because Rengar hasn't shown yet, and now we can actually see his bot side, we can just play with that information and we can just use our W and extend. So what I really like, this spot is incredible for pressing Briar ulti. So I really love using Briar ultimates over walls because it's really hard for the enemy team to react. And after the buffs, it's just really easy for you to kind of like destroy people with it, right? So it's just very OP, very strong. I highly recommend, you know, you think about where you're pressing R from, because the position, the angle you approach with Briar R is essential for it to hit. And here we're able to kind of get this last comp, and most likely I'm just going to look to base here. But because I'm pretty close to Blade Room King, we're just going to entertain potentially, you know, finishing this jungle side. And in lower rings, I don't think it's terrible to be a little greedy with your CS. Why? Because realistically, people are pretty bad at punishing you on your farm. There could be a Rengar stealing all my jungle here, but because I've already got a decent chunk of change, it's okay, I would say. And there's always potential for you to kind of like make an easy kill topside. So for me, it's like really important to teach you like the you know, just the best habits to have for you to kind of carry on these sort of champions. And here I do have enough now where I can probably just base and then just have my Blade Room King ready. And actually I'm going to wait for the crab because I think I might be in a position where I can probably greed a bit here. And here I'm just going to start with the Q, auto attack. And your ability haste is not going to be high, so you're not going to have many Ws. You're pretty much going to have one W, and then you have to like avoid champions. So you always have to think about that. So here, even if I want to go on kill, I don't have my W yet, but now it's starting to come up. You always start it early, right? You want to start it early, auto Q, and then just kind of chase, and then flash, and then W bite after. Your bite is always like your finisher, because it does the missing health damage, and it also extends your attack range, so you're not going to be able to miss it if they're just slightly farther out. So it's the finisher. So I really like this build. I really like going Blade. I really like going Blade into Cleaver. I just think this build's really OP right now. And it's like my favorite build because it's really straightforward. Titanic is good too, but in my opinion, Titanic is hard. Here, a straight line. Why? Because Rengar is going in a straight line to kill my Bel'Koz. That's all she wrote. And here, just bite down once you're on the range creeps. and then just look for, you know, potential jungle camps. Because I'm so strong, I can play much more aggressive in this game, especially in like silver. You know, I'm super accelerated, so what I'm gonna do is just check his camps, potentially kill him in his jungle. And the big reason is we're on our item buy. Blade of the Rune King, I will say, is an item spike, and it's something we want to use and capitalize on when we have it. And it's just going to give us a lot more damage than we generally would have, right? So we want to capitalize on that stuff. Here are the Jinx potentially, you know. I'm going to E to kind of block some tower shots. And I'm probably just going to die that Jinx. Why? Because I don't want to give Rengar a kill. I'd rather give an 80 carry a kill. Even though you'll be like, 80 carry Jinx is going to scale. I'd rather not give it to the jungler. Because I'm going to be facing the jungler a lot. And that may interrupt my game plan if he's much stronger. The Jinx, well, that's a bot lane problem. And I don't mind it being a bot lane problem for now. Because I will take care of the Jinx later on. And from here, we just have a really good base. Armor boots, obviously. When you want to know which boots you want to buy, just look at the mid-jungle matchup. Heavy AD, just go armor boots. Heavy AP, just go MR boots. That's pretty much the general idea, the rule to follow, is look at the jungle mid matchup. And also think about, is this an AD carry or is this an AP mage? So, obviously, I don't want to give Rengar this dragon. So what I'm going to do is just jump over the wall and just check if he's on it. Usually, he'll probably be on it. But here, he's not shown. So there is like windows where, you know, we can just kind of like maybe look for a play here. Now Rengar is like, hey, maybe I can, you know, stop this dragon. Well, not on my watch. Q auto bite down and he's dead. Thank you for the Lulu ulti. I'll see that one on the next one. And here, because we want to look for windows, sort of flanks, we're going to flank on the Jinx here potentially. And we're going to see Jinx and then we're going to W, smite, Q, bite down. Because we're actually pretty fast, we can potentially wait for our next W. I'm going to E here. Actually, I don't know why my E was taking so long there. And we're going to E there just to reset the aggro. Remember we talked about how does this work with Briar? Your W can only be interrupted if it times out. If there's nothing around that you can target, like no minions or champions or monster camps. Or if you just press E, right? So that's exactly what we used there. And you're in this situation... I probably talk a lot about, like, you know, full clip, farm, stuff like that. There are windows where it's going to be a farm angle. Right now, we just got dragon. We just got to fight. So what does that mean for us? That means we have this sort of liberty to just sort of like farm for a while. Like we can just kind of hard chill. And we don't want to spend too much time not farming our jungle camps. Why? Because we don't want to over level our jungle camps. And we also don't want the enemy team to get like really... You know, we don't want the enemy team to feel really... Or we don't want to waste time and then give the enemy team time to catch up, right? That's always a big thing that you may run into. That's something I always say. So here I'll probably base because I clear one side. The rule we always talk about, quadrant farming. If you want to never miss, like, you want to stay with farm, you want to make sure as the game goes on, you don't ruin like farm windows, you don't mess up your CS where you're like, oh, I forgot to farm camps. Do the quadrant farming strategy that I incorporate. It's going to give you the god tier farm that you really, really want, and you want to be better. That's the way to do it. So later in the game, you can see exactly how I'm doing it. Here also, you can W over the walls very easily. W, smite, Q him, let your press attack go, and then bite down. And technically, you can wait for this next W to potentially bite him and then finish him off. Obviously, he has ulti there, but he's not thinking straight. He's seen Briar, her toes are too much for him to handle, and he's not able to kind of mess around with that. So here, W down, ready to go. Farm our jungle, farm. Clear half the camps, play for objectives. E is up, use the E just to knock the thing into the wall. And the E does reduce tower shots. It does heal you a lot as the game goes on. And it also, most importantly, pushes people away. So you notice what I do is I always sort of... Well, I always use it really, you know, when my W is not going to be able to chase anymore, or pretty much if I'm going to get hit by a hard crowd control ability. So if you're going to get hit by CC, you actually want to just use your E. And here this guy is going to face check. You can actually use your E in a way... Actually, he's not going to let me use it. You can use it in a brush and then hit them with it afterwards. And the silver people are really, really greedy, by the way. So she has a ward there, but... She's a bit too greedy for what it looks like. Gromp may have just died, so we have to be aware of that potential. Here I'm going to E him into the wall. If I feel like I'm in danger, I can just W out and just kind of escape here. Here he ulties, but he also is pretty early, so we can actually probably go on him and then bite him down. And Rengar, we can see the blues out, so he's probably going to go this way, so we can actually just shoot it that way. Hit him as well. And there's a chance Kayle is here, so we can actually go on her here, bite down, eat her into the wall, or help my Vayne finish her off, and, you know, just vice versa. And personally, I think this build is just really OP right now. Blade into Cleaver is just very strong on her. And I just find a lot of, you know, success with her. And for you, it's really straightforward to just do the build that's going to give you the most value, right? Like, it's do the build that's really easy. Like, Titanic Hydra is a really strong item too on her. But personally, I think people are really bad with, especially lower ranks, you're bad with like item actives, right? Active items are always going to be difficult. And that's okay, I understand. And that's like understandable. Here you should upgrade boots, because upgrade boots, in my opinion, very strong. And should be done generally, unless like it's like an MR boot upgrade against, like, you know, not that much AP. Armor upgrade against the heavy AD comp, really good to have in your game. So I do advise on doing exactly, you know, pretty much this. Here the Tryndamere, we can do something. We do have Herald. But like I said, if we want to make sure we don't ruin our farm, we want to do what I do. It's just quadrant farm. Here, the Varus is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Here's what I was talking about. You E, and then you can just hit the wall stun pretty much just like that. Beautifully done, right? It can be risky to do. I think it may actually result in you messing it up. So be careful with how you use it. But if you see someone face checking you, you can just set up with a really easy window there and a really, really easy stun. So very, very good. Here we're going to make sure we actually get going here with our jungle. The enemy team's fighting, we can always throw out an ulti. But you can see with me how I was playing this game. I've been very sort of patient with, you know, I've been very patient with using my ultimate. And for me personally, it's just something that I don't really want to always be like teleporting across the map, right? Like if I'm going to teleport across the map, I want to make sure it's going to be good. And that's sort of what you're thinking about when you kind of go for that. So here I can just smite her. My bleach should finish her off. And from here, I mean, like, maybe we could fight. Realistically, I don't desire to fight right now. So what I'm going to do is just jump over the wall, Few the red dragon, and then just finish the dragon off. And from here, the third item generally is going to be DD. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward build. You go with this build into DD, you're going to be God. You're going to be stronger than everyone in the game. And you're just going to be really hard to kill. If the enemy team is really AP heavy, then I would recommend going to like Sterix. And then maybe Spear Visage if the enemy team is really AP heavy. But generally, you're going to play against comps that are more AD heavy. So the DD is really good into that situation. So here W, push into the wall. And then reset. I usually reset when I have, you know, like if my only farm is like the other side of the map, why not just reset, get a buy, and then just go onto the other side from base? That's usually what you see me do. Is I always base when I'm like, I need to get to this side. I need to get to this side to the map or whatever. And there's nothing to farm. Base, it's much, much better. And that's sort of what you play for. Here, I could potentially just ulti. And from here, I just want ulti in a line. Always start with your ulti, auto attack Q. And then that's like your comboing. You want to use your Q after an auto attack. Generally, that's like your go-to. Here, you can W to chase potentially. And the move speed is going to be accelerating you a lot. Jinx could have gone left, but I think she's more likely to go right here. And if I think Kayle's here, I might go on Kayle, which looks like she might be in the area. So let's see exactly where Kayle could be. Kayle would probably be looking to do like my Gromp or something like that. So what we're going to do is check our Gromp here. And we're just going to do our Gromp here. So your goal is to just get these objectives when you can. And for example, the grubs, or not the grubs, but the Otacon, just do the Otacon when you see enemy team on the opposite side. Like right now, obviously I'm super strong. Plus I see like half the nation just across the map, right? So just do the Otacon. Make sure you're queuing it, because your Q, like the mechanic we talked about, it actually makes it so you focus directly on like the target. Even if an enemy champion walks by, if you Q, it's pretty much, hey, no, I'm just going to attack the Otacon. Which is really good in situations when you're on like Baron or you're on like an objective. But it only works if you press W first and then you Q. It's not going to work if I Q and then W. But if I W then Q, it will work in that regard. So if Kayle most likely runs this way, Whether she's, you know, like farming or she's going to my red buff, that's also a potential. So what we're gonna do is check right away. We're gonna E here, try to get them into the wall, go on kill right away. This may be bad because I actually don't have a good window to deal with the kill ultimate there. Oh my, he blew him up. He blew him up. Tryndamere probably will have Varus. He's a sacrifice we are much willing to make. Unless it's a silver Tryndamere who doesn't know how to right click to move. But that's a-okay. We still have our Herald. Our Herald's going to give us like a really good power, you know, power window to just get a lot of plays off. And I will most likely follow it. And in games like this, I mean, I imagine in lower ranks, I don't personally smurf that much, so I'm just doing this video. I just think it's like lower ranks, obviously they ARAM a lot, right? The goal is, if you want to play against... By the way, Rengar in low ranks, it's like, yeah, don't try to be natty nat. It's not happening. I can see why Rengar win rate went from 50% to 40. It makes sense now. People do not play Rengar. He's too difficult. Play Briar. Briar is the superior champion. If this was your solo queue game in iron, silver, bronze, whatever, it's going to be like just like that. So don't worry about it too much. Make sure you go down mid here. And obviously their team is actually quite annoying because kill ultimate and they have a relatively kiting comp. So I'm not going to do anything crazy. Like I'm not going to go for crazy dives. What I'm going to do is actually just lure the enemy team away from like where they are. So generally what you want to do is just pretty much be in the enemy jungle, take their farm all the time. Briar especially is complete garbage at taking towers. So don't even think about towers when you play Briar. It's all about just taking the enemy jungle in these winning situations and look for windows where they over push and we can kind of like ulti here. So here I think I can maybe get an ulti and then I can just go in on the kill. Her ulti is up, but honestly, I think I can kill her. And then I have the E up and I can push them away. And that's the thing about the E, right? Like it's always going to be like a window for you to kind of like reset these people. And here, because I don't have my E up anymore, let me hit the tower. It might be risky for us to actually chase there. So here, Briar win, obviously easy peasy, lemon squeezy. No waves, probably not going to be an end. But with the ulti buffs on Briar, it's actually feels very nice to be a Briar champion. And here, because there's no more minions, it's going to make me want to attack the champion. We don't want that. We don't want to tank 2 tower shots on a Tryndamere, so we're going to just finish off this tower ideally. And play for the grubs here. Go on the kill. One shot with a combo. E here to push them backwards. Don't know if I'll be able to kind of kill. But it was a really good push overall. And from here on, this is where you want to build items that are just going to give you the most value. But look at the enemy team. I think, okay, so I probably need like, not MR, maybe MR if kill was really fed. Probably just HP, right? So we want to go HP. I like to go into Sterix. The reason why I like Sterix on Briar too, just because it gives you tenacity, and tenacity is just a very good stat for her. Enemy wave is ending, but enemy team can easily respond, so don't worry about like the wave like winning the game. She'll probably end up getting Dragon Soul. But because the enemy team has no towers to defend their Nexus, we can actually just go straight down mid and just end the game. And I'm so strong after that buy that it really isn't going to be an issue for us. It's just going to be a free win. Easy peasy, a lemon, a squeezy. That's exactly what we're going to do. So here, because Baron's up, actually, you want to just go do Baron quickly. So what we're going to do is go through mid and then just go start the Baron. Just want to make sure they're not on it right now. So first we're going to do is catch this mid wave, because the enemy mid wave will give them a lot of vision. And I don't think they're able to do it really quick. And now because my team is grouping up with me quickly, we can actually just go into the jungle. And then just pretty much do the crab and then start the Baron. So here, just do the crab here. And whether there's champions nearby, it honestly doesn't even matter that much, because the only one who can really steal it is Rengar. And when you're on Briar, objectives Briar, your smite does 1200. And now because they want to fight, we might as well just fight here, right? So we're going to start with the Q, auto Q. Because we can just E him into the wall here, but it doesn't really look like he's going to do much here. And the rest is history, right? So we can just go down mid and end the game there. And because the enemy team is committing, right? Like I go in there because we see Vayne is literally trying to like go through them and fight. So we go in there because of that. And that's why we fight there. Otherwise, we don't really want to, like, you know, ulti unless we see some commitment, right? I don't want to be ulting when they're still here and then I'm like getting launched here while my team is like right here, right? Like that's not going to be good. And that's how you win in generally lower ranks like silver.